Participants, please ensure your audio and video is off. I repeat, participants, please turn off your audio and video. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Participants, please turn off your audio and video. Kushlin Kaur, it's expected
Welcome
to
every one of
turn off
you
your
to
audio.
day
Thank you.
one of National E-Workshop on Research in Psychology and Behavioral Sciences. Here are some instructions that you would be following. Only around 200 participants will be admitted to the Google Meet and rest of you can join us via the YouTube live session. Please maintain your audio and video muted when you join the Google Meet. Feel free to post your doubts regarding the topic during the session in the chat box. Selected questions will be discussed within the time limit. The medium of language will be English. Attendance is compulsory on all the 5 days, and the attendance link will be provided towards the end of each session in the chat box. Finally, we expect our very dignified participants to maintain the online etiquette. That's all about the instruction.
Professional Training Institute, located in Mundur, Palakkad district of Kerala. It is affiliated to Calicut University and managed by Catholic Diocese of Palakkad. The Department of Psychology of Yuvakshetra Institute was established in 2015 and has always remained in the forefront of routinely conducting workshops, seminars, and expert talks. Apart from being equipped with excellent laboratory and library facilities, the department has marked its role in constant social support and social awareness strategies. Let's begin the session. Saint Teresa of Avila once said, "For prayer, but being in terms of friendship with God." Let's give a moment to that friendship with Harsha S., second year BSc student. Harsha, can you please join us?
Yeah. പ്രാർത്ഥന നീർപ്പുമയാ പ്രാർത്ഥന നീർപ്പുമയാ రహస్యమందు చూచు తండ్రి ప్రతిఫలం పొనుసకెడి పరలోక ప్రార్థన నేర్పుమయా ప్రార్థన నేర్పుమయా ప్రార్థన నేర్పుమయా.
Thank you, Harsha. Continuing with the event, I hand over to Mr. Jit George, HOD of Psychology Department of Yuvakshetra Institute for the formal welcome. Jit sir?
Thank you, Najia.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Good afternoon, one and all. I'm indeed delighted to be with you all on the first day of our National e-workshop. For the past 6 months, we have been troubled by the COVID-19 pandemic. This has led to the many challenges and in fact affected the education sector the most. But with new challenges arises new solutions. The integration of technological advancements to teaching and learning has become a necessity of the time. Thus, we have reached a time where people can meet and interact without the geographical boundaries or limitations. It is in this context the Department of Psychology decided to host a national e-workshop for the betterment of students and researchers as a whole. And the response was overwhelming. Around 1,000 participants have already registered for the workshop. Moving on to my responsibility, we have our distinguished guest, Dr. Lalita K., Senior Assistant Professor of Psychology, Yogi Vimana University, Andhra Pradesh. Despite her busy schedule and other commitments, she was happy to be a part of this webinar to share her knowledge with us all. On behalf of the Department of Psychology and Yuvakshetra College, I welcome you, ma'am, to this national e-workshop. We are indeed honored by your presence. Next, I would like to welcome our director, Reverend Dr. Matthew George Warren. He has been the backbone of our institute. His constant support and guidance has helped us to excel in our academic pursuits. Father, I welcome you. I also extend my warm welcome to our principal, Dr. Tommy Anthony, and our vice principal, Reverend Dr. Lalu Olikin. Next, we have our program coordinator, Mr. Sanet Thomas, and assistant coordinator, Ms. Ashwati M. I also extend my welcome to our student coordinator, Amrita Jacob. Last but not least, I welcome each one of the participants to this national e-workshop. I hope this session will indeed help you in your academic pursuits. Thank you, Vananta.
Thank you, Jit sir, for the welcome. Next, I would also like to have a message from the director of Yuvakshetra Institute of Management Studies, Reverend Dr. Matthew George Warriel. Father? Father? Hello, Father? Hello, Father? Father, we can't hear you. Okay, I'll start with the rest and maybe we can have the message later. So, now moving to the spotlight of the workshop. I am honored to introduce to you today's resource person, Dr. Lalita K, Senior Assistant Professor at Department of Psychology in Yogi Vemana University, Kadapa, Andhra Pradesh. And about the resource person, Dr. Lalita has done her master's in SB University, Tirupati, PhD and PhD diploma in gerontology from the same institution, and PhD diploma in counseling and guidance. Looking into Dr. Lalita's work career, we can see that she has a teaching experience in Department of Psychology in YV University, Kadapa, and SPW Degree College, Kadapa, and research experience with ICMP New Delhi and UGC New Delhi, both of which was executed at SV University, Tirupati. I would like to highlight some of her academic distinctions. She has won National Merit Scholarship for highest marks in graduation from AP Higher Education Board, Hyderabad, and Sri Venkateshwara Award for Best Paper Presentation at Osmania University, and TTTI Award for Best PhD Work at Jodhpur by Indian Association of Applied Psychology, and also Mid-Career Gerontology Award by Association of Gerontology, Varanasi. Dr. Lalita's broad research area includes elderly, cognitive aging, and memory interventions. Dr. Lalita has attended 15 international and 55 national conferences. She has published 25 papers and communicated 5 papers. She has published 2 of her books titled Memory in the Elderly, Can We Improve It? And Psychology for Health, Harmony, and Happiness. She has also received specialized training in short-term training in gerontology and geriatrics from International Institution of Aging and IFA. Dr. Lalita serves as Joint Secretary at AGI Varanasi and also at Academy of Psychologists, Tirupati. Then she also serves as Regional Coordinator at AGI Varanasi. Moreover, she has acquired many credible positions in various programs. She has also conducted many academic programs and memberships in different organizations. Okay, now I am done with the introduction of the resource person. Is father available?
Yes.
No, ma'am, I'm checking with the father for the message. Did sir?
Yes, thank you. So I hope
Thank
you
you,
can
father.
hear me.
Yes, father.
Yeah. Sorry for the delay. So good
No,
afternoon
it's
to
okay.
one and all. So my dear teachers and my dear research fellows. First of all, congratulations to the Department of Psychology for organizing 5-day national e-workshop on research in psychology and behavior sciences. Psychology looks at the way people think, react, and interact. It is a study of human behavior and thoughts and emotions that influence the behavior. So the students need to develop this skill. What are the skills we need for research? We should be more analytical. That means we should be very good observers. And we should have the capacity of patience, but at the same time, we should be passionate, compassionate, but calm, goal oriented, and we need leadership, interpersonal and research minded, understanding and teamwork, familiar with human behavior, problem solving, but pragmatic. Philosophical, we should be, but realistic, sensible and rational, logical and judicious, prudent and perspective oriented. So I hope and expect this 5 days webinar will give you more light on research and the subjects you are about to going to study. So wish you all the best. I'm not taking more time. Wish you 5 days, very good seminar, very good topics, so that you will be enlightened. Wish you all the best. God bless. Once again, congratulations to Yuvakshetra psychology team, all the teachers and students, and those who participated. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Father. You are always being a constant support to us. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I have already told the introduction about the resource person. It was all just a gist about our resource person, Dr. Lalita K. We are really fortunate to have such a renowned and remarkable person to flag off our 5-day national e-workshop on research in psychology and behavioral sciences. So, without further delay, let's move to the essence of the event. So, Lalita ma'am, are we good to go?
Thank you. Thank you. Shall I proceed, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, yes.
Okay. Very good
Yes,
afternoon.
ma'am.
Very good afternoon to learned colleagues. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. First of all, I am happy to associate myself with this 5-day national workshop, and I congratulate Yuvakshetra College and particularly psychology team, Sanet Thomas, for inviting me to be the opener for this national workshop. But I have a lot of responsibility, and I'll try my level best to do justice to this given topic. But it's very difficult. It's like a ocean. The topic is like a ocean. But anyway, I'll try my level best to present the whole thing in nutshell to the participants. So the topic given to me is, let me do screen sharing. I am trying to do sharing. How to share this one? Yes, I'm not getting. There is some problem in screen sharing. But anyway, I will start with my this thing before I technically move on to the presentation. So the topic given to me is, still I'm not getting. Yeah, the topic given to me is importance, steps, and scope of research in psychology and behavioral sciences. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am,
Now,
it's
Yes, ma'am.
visible.
now it's visible. Yeah, the topic given to me is importance, steps, and other things, research in psychology and behavioral sciences. So let me move on to what do you mean by behavioral science? So as we are all know that science means it is a systematic study, observation and explanation of human behavior either in single or in groups. So behavioral sciences also concerned with the study of individual differences in relation to natural settings. Behavioral sciences encompass all the disciplines that explore the activities of interactions among organisms in the natural world. It involves the systematic analysis and investigation of human and animal behavior through control and naturalistic, experimental, observation and rigorous formulations. So as we know that if you take behavior into consideration, so the behavioral science is nothing but it is the organisms interaction in a natural settings that can be studied in a systematic, in a scientific manner. So if you take spectrum of behavioral sciences into consideration, there are major four fields are there. They are psychology, sociology, anthropology and ethology. So first let me say about psychology. So psychology is nothing but the study of the mind occurring partly via the study of behavior. So as we are all know that it is nothing but a systematic study of human and animal behavior. And the sociology. So sociology is nothing but it's a scientific study of society. So we study different concepts like social stratification, social class, religion, social mobility, law and deviance, secularism, etc. under sociology. So the anthropology is another important field in behavioral science which studies about the study of the origins, history, mechanisms and constitution of human cultures. And another one is ethology, the study of behavior of non-human species in the natural setting. So if you take human behavior into consideration, it is very difficult to categorize the behavior because from every part of interaction we will consider it as human behavior. So if you take psychology into consideration, the behavior is categorized in four ways. So first one is behavior of detectability. So where individual reacts with the environment. So the human receives the stimuli from the environment and through his internal mental processes he is going to understand the stimuli and he is going to react to the situation. That is behavior detectability. And as we all know that behavior is a purposive. So for every behavior there is a goal. It's a goal driven behavior. So that is one thing. If one person feels thirsty, immediately he looks for water around to get, and he will try to satisfy his thirst first. That is every behavior is there is a purpose for every behavior. And another category is behavior involving performance. So as we all know that it is a skilled behavior, so which includes our aptitude. So behavior that demonstrates skills of various kinds from work to sports. So it includes everything. So it's execution of our day-to-day activities. And another one is instinctual behavior is a very important one. Unknowingly we are going to execute our behavior which are driven by anatomical and physiological nature of the organisms. So behavior in this category is determined by the need or desire or to avoid pain and gain. So for example, my dear participants, in the COVID-19, the instinctual behavior of gregarious was well noticed because we are all very much deprived for social groups and social meetings, etc. But we are deprived of because of COVID-19. So the 19, that is very important. And if you take a psychologist into classified as practitioners, academicians and researchers. So if you take psychologists, what nature of your psychology, you can see majority of the persons, nearly 60% of the psychologists are working as practitioners and they are involved in extending their services in therapy and counseling to solve their day-to-day problems. And academicians, and very few people, nearly 20% of people are getting are accommodated in colleges, universities to engage in teaching and research work. And if you take in Western countries, you can find a lot of avenues as researchers. But whereas in India, very few avenues are there, and those avenues are also we will get through national funding agencies like ICMR, ICSSR, DHR, something like that. So settling as a researcher is a very difficult one in India. So before I proceed to the what do you mean by research and other things, let me focus on branches of psychology. So as we all know that the branches of psychology is in two ways, pure psychology and applied psychology. So whereas in pure psychology, the psychologists are going to do the observation of the basic principles of human behavior, or they are going to interpret the phenomena of behavior in pure psychology. Whereas in applied psychology, whatever the knowledge we gained in pure psychology, we are applying to the day-to-day life to solve the day-to-day problems or day-to-day issues. So that means the knowledge which we get from pure psychologists, when we apply to the field, that becomes applied psychology. So if you go through this graph, you can understand. So very few academic people are working, and majority of the people are working in other fields as professional or clinical psychologists and counseling psychologists, and later the other fields people are working. So that means you can understand that research psychology is more helpful for to become a professional psychologist compared to other fields. So that is also very important if you pursue this. So when we are studying at PG level, we find only APA divisions, only 16 divisions are there. So when I am doing my research as a postdoc, when I see, then I have seen only 23 to 30 divisions. Now if you go to APA division, because we will consider American Psychological Association as most authentic agency for our psychology, now you can find 56. So how these divisions, partition of division is taking place means it's because of based on the research, based on the need, based on the data, they are dividing the fields in different categories. So what are the job avenues? So if you go through this slide, you can understand there are nearly 20 to 30 job avenues are available. So we know that very becoming a teacher or becoming a psychologist as a counselor, very few fields are available. But nowadays, if you if you are skilled enough, if you get good skill, then you can have more avenues for psychology compared to other fields. So far I focused my thing on psychology and its scope. Now let me say a few words about the research. So what is meant by research means it is from unknown to known. So before you do research, you don't know anything about the concept. After doing that, you are going to get this. So that means from unknown to known, and from idea to evidence, and from concept to construct. So for example, mental health is a concept. So how you are going to promote a good mental health, that becomes construct of the part. So like that, in research, we doing research after getting some insights, the knowledge will be shared in different ways. So there are some research assumptions are there, whether whatever may be the field, these research assumptions are very common. So importance of social scientific research. So why we have to do research in psychology? So because, so for example, if you see the government policies and acts, you can easily understand. So all the Senior Citizen Act or Disability Act, so all these acts, domestic violence acts, so there are so many acts are coming means the central government formulates the policies based on the data. Data driven is very important. Data is the backbone for policy. So if the government is having data with them, then they are going to, based on the need or based on the really to say something about vote bank, they form the acts. So something like that. And fundamental nature of social reality. So this is very important. We have to understand the real nature of society. So then only you can do good interpretation for your data. And why we have to understand the basic nature of human beings. So if you take human behavior means as we all know that it is a dynamic one. So it is always changing. So just to interpret your data, you have to observe the nature of human beings. So a lot of nowadays, if you see the changes in personality also very frequent. So intergenerational changes are taking in a very fast manner. So as a psychologist, if you cannot understand the nature of human being, you cannot do well with regard to interpretation of the data. And the relationship between science and common sense is very important. So whatever the evidences you get in your research, by adding some common sense to that, then only it will be added value for your result. So that is very important. And constitution on explanation of theory and social reality. So that is very important. So as we all know that based on the theory, some theory should be there to develop the concept or construction in any science for that matter. But for example, if you do some data or some study on, for example, COVID-19, you don't get any much data because it was started 3 months back only. So you have to get information from them. So later, after 4 or 5 years, you can find good data with regard to COVID-19. So you cannot get some base theory for this kind of injection. So for example, so if you want to do some, so for example, quality of webinars which are taking place in India, this is also one concept for research. So you can do it for example. So something like that. For that kind of new things, you cannot get some theoretical background. But then also you can proceed with your interest to do some research. So if you take a constitution of explanation or theory of social reality is very important. And determination whether the explanation is true or false. So for example, when you are comparing your data with the Western cultures, so whatever the data the researcher got in Western, you just cannot compare with the Indian. So you have to get the reality. So why the differences are there, why the differences are existing, and by giving our roots to the societal roots, you can add some more values to your data. And good evidence and factual information is very important in getting data. And social political values enter into science because that is very important. And so when you are doing some research, and if you plan something, that is nothing but that research methodology. So is nothing but it is a systematic and scientific plan of conducting research. Research methodology is nothing but your blueprint for execution of your research. So if you take types of research into consideration, there are number of types are there. But anyway, for time being, I am going to explain only three types of research. First one is descriptive research, where the researcher tries to do fact finding with regard to investigation. So for example, if you take COVID-19, so people are doing research just to get some data. What are the symptoms? What are the psychological issues they are getting? What are the areas affected by because of this COVID-19? So something like that. And if you take exploratory research, experimental research into consideration, now we know that in all the countries the vaccine trials are going on. That is experimental one. So they are seeing the cause and the effect. So they are seeing the before they release the vaccine, they are doing some experiments. That is called experimental, or and otherwise exploratory. Exploratory means just exploring the knowledge to get new information. So for example, if you take that same COVID-19 into consideration, when COVID entered into India, initially we find 5 forms, later 16 forms. Now they are telling there are 73 forms of virus in Indian population. They are witnessing, scientists are witnessing with the affected people. So something like that. That is called exploring ideas. So if you take psychology into consideration, most of the methodological categories or types we can use for to get data in psychology also. So for example, most frequently used research methods in psychology are lab experimentation, where a researcher manipulates the independent variable to see its effect on the dependent variable, and field experiment. So where a researcher manipulates the independent variable to see its effect on the dependent variable. And natural experiment, so where the independent variable occurs naturally and the experimenter records the data as it is. And correlation method, so correlation method means where the researcher is going to see any relationship between two variables. So and another one is observation. So observation means that, as we know that there are two types of observation: systematic observation and natural observation. So and another one is self-report. So where the subject is going to explain the behavior or whatever may be the response he feels, he is going to report the same thing. And case study method. Case study method is nothing but where the in detail information about one particular concept or particular organization you are going to take, and you are going to analyze the aspects. So for example, if you take how Dharavi people are affected by COVID-19, how they came out, means it's a case study. So if you want to study that particular area or particular organization or particular set of people, then case study is the best method. So if you take scientific method into consideration, there is a process. So whatever may be the field, it may be a physical science or life science, or it may be a social science, whatever may be the field, the scientific method is the same thing. So where the procedure is involved in analyzing the data. So let me go through each step. So first of all, questioning. So questioning is nothing but identification of the problem. So the researcher is going to study the problem and he will find some stop gaps in between, and he, after identifying the stop gaps, based on that he gathers, that is called review of literature, he will do it. And after identifying the stop gaps, he will formulate hypothesis. Hypothesis, as we are all know, that it is nothing but tentative solution to the problem. It is a tentative, so that means it is not it becomes true only after interpret the data. So it is an educated guess of an answer to the question. And procedure or method, so written carefully. So for every research, methodology is the backbone. So if you plan your methodology in a very systematic manner, that is going to help you to get good data. And while interpreting the data, so now we are seeing that data means people are doing in SPSS, they are putting the tables as it is in their studies or something like that. It's not true. So whatever may be the data you interpreted, so you have to get that data in a proper manner. You have to put them in a proper way, in proper tables, and then only if you analyze. After analyzing the data, if you add some discussion part, that is very important for psychology, researchers in psychology. Because if you cannot add insights about the for that particular concept in the under discussion, it won't give much value. So you have to add. So if you go through any Western cultures, you can simply see that their interpretation is very, very less. Their discussion is very, very high. The length of discussion is very high because they add insights about that particular aspects in under data. So even for that also, the researchers who are involved in doing some data means you have to observe a lot. You have to get more data. Apart from answering to questionnaires and other things, you have to interact with them. You have to get more data, which will give you good insight to interpret the data. So that observations you are going to present in the form of observations. So it is nothing but a written description of what was not noticed during the experimentation. And conclusion. So that is very important. And if you say that life skills of a researcher needs to be, we have to develop. So people say that research means people earlier, if you observe the earlier last 2 or 3 decades, people are not university teachers or other are just as a passion they are doing research. But nowadays you can see lot of interest with regard to research, because research is also become mandatory to improve our skill. And if you are involved in research, you will get more insight, which really helpful to interpret the data, and while teaching to the students also, that newly added information will help to the students to improve themselves. That is very important. So if you want to become a good researcher, so you just concentrate on the skills. Life skills are very important. Reading books, which is very difficult nowadays. People are not attending to libraries. All are dependent on Google or this thing and e-books, which indirectly affecting their health. So that means reading books is very, very important. Newspapers, magazines, manuals, that is very important for a good researcher. And another one is listening. Listening to friends, radio, television is very important. My dear friends, as we are all know that hearing is something different from listening. So if you listen carefully, that insights, so our friends will be discussing about the one issue, radio will be giving some information about the society, in television they are discussing, our panel members are discussing about some social issue. So if you listen to them, their things are helpful to interpret your data. That is very important. And watching, observation is a very, very important thing for any scientist, because watching children, friends, social issues, TV, observing the people in groups or in society, that helps a lot to interpret the data. And choosing deliberately. So if you are more focused on the research, you will get good results. That is very important. So for example, my teachers used to say me that you restrict to one area of research. So that is very important. If you want to be a successful researcher, you have to select the area of your interest. And based on your interest, you have to excel in that particular field. Maybe today your services are not recognized, but in future you are expected to be a good researcher or expert in that particular field. So that is also very important for a researcher. And questioning. So always you have to question the information we receive. So you are getting information through Google and through YouTube and through other social media also. So whatever the information you are receiving, you have to interpret that in a sensible manner. That is very important. And you must know what is right and what's wrong. So that is very important as a researcher. And summarizing information is another important aspect. So that means after summarizing information and organizing the information in a right manner and writing that, and writing is nothing but to convey your mind to another mind. So here you are going to share the information with others. So that is also very important. So here I thought to share one slide which I studied yesterday. So here one person, one researcher, he put some slides with regard to so where the psychology stands in the publication part. So if you take this, go through these slides, you can understand. Here you can see here some in red I kept the data with regard to psychology. So that means percentage of phase 1 shared of India. So that means here phase 1 means the here author took phase 1 universities, the publication from phase 1 universities, and so here you can see. So the data is for 10 years. So that means 1990 to 2010 he took the data, and he collected the information with regard to how many research publications took place during this particular decade. And if you go through this also, so here he made as the 10 years in 3 blocks or 4 blocks, and he interpreted. So here you can, by seeing these figures, you can understand that among 311 publications, 118 articles are with 0 citations. And if you go through here, 2008 and 10, there are 684, and again the score is 318 articles are with 0 citations. So that means the citation is a very, very important nowadays. So if you go to Google Scholar or if you register yourself in Google Scholar or in ResearchGate or something like that, where your articles are seen by others and cited by others is a very important. So if you get more citations means you can find more research articles, or and that means it indicates the quality of research publications. So these are all major funding agencies, national bodies. So I concentrated on national bodies because here these are the funding agencies for social and behavioral sciences, and they do funding for doctoral and postdoctoral, and they are providing extramural support to the researchers. So, and at the same time, they are giving offers to the mid-career women also. So those who are unemployed and still they are interested to do research, they are providing very good opportunities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I think
It was a really wonderful session. It was bombarded with a lot of information. And ma'am, as you said, it is a research field is a very big ocean. And within this time limit, you could give us a lot of information. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. And you have spent a valuable time with us. And here
the
goes,
party
uh,
is
yes.
important. My time is very important, as I know.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we have some doubts coming up. Can I ask you?
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay, ma'am. So, first one, ma'am, under branches of psychology, you have mentioned geopsychology. What is geopsychology? Is that an emerging field of psychology? This is the first question.
Yeah. Geopsychology is nothing but it is the how the environment is going to affect the behavior of people. So that is the emerging field in psychology.
Okay. Can I move to the second one, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, what is legal psychology? What kind of research designs and methods we can use it for research in legal psychology?
Legal psychology is nothing but the behavior interpretation in relation to law. So that means how criminals behave, how the culprits, and how they are going to, while interpreting the behavior of a criminal, we use legal psychology. So their attitude, whether they are giving the information in a right manner or not, or something like that. So generally in legal psychology, this quantitative just survey type techniques won't work out. Generally, the case study method is more self-reporting method, is more helpful in getting the data.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. In the experiment study, can we ask descriptive types questions in achievement tool? That is the third question.
Yes, we can ask. So along with the usage of the tool, you can have some descriptive questions under that particular tool, and you interpret that. You have to if you get the if you ask open-ended question, you'll get different types of responses from the people. So what you are supposed to do is, while after getting all the data, again you have to categorize the obtained data, and you have to interpret the thing in a proper manner. That is very important in descriptive.
Okay,
So if
ma'am.
you
Thank
get some data in descriptive manner, categorizing the obtained data is very important. So we have to do with some justification. We have to do that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you. Now, the fourth question is, what is the difference between applied research and exploratory research?
Applied research means here, exploratory means you are adding the new information to the existing information in exploring. So for example, as I told you, for example, if you take COVID, types of COVID into consideration, earlier they said 5, later 16, now they are sending, telling that in India we can find 73 types of viruses or something like that. So that is called exploring. So that means finding new information, new facts about the same aspect. That is exploring. What is the another one you asked?
Exploratory and applied research.
Applied means the whatever the existing knowledge, what we will get from the basic knowledge, that is applied to help the people to resolve their problems. So, for example, in clinical psychology, in counseling psychology, in industrial psychology, in education psychology. So here, whatever the basic knowledge we will get, that is applied to for the change in psychological process. That is applied aspect.
Okay, ma'am, you're very clear. I'll move on to the next question.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. What specific themes or topics of research lie at the intersection of psychotherapy, social and cultural psychology, sociology, and social anthropology? Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, yes, it's very clear. But
Yes.
to be frank, I am not working in that particular area. So, as a researcher, my area is aging. But anyway, so if there are intersection means it's nowadays it is a trend of interdisciplinary research. Nowadays, for example, UGC encouraging multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary research. That is very important. That means one psychologist, one sociologist, one anthropologist are getting together and they are forming as group and they are contributing their specific areas of expertise to work on the some specific aspect. So that is the trend now. So you have to do little study before I say I cannot say this or that or something like that. Unless we cannot study the review of literature, we cannot suggest something like that. So that is my
Okay, ma'am.
opinion.
Oh, okay, ma'am. You're very clear. Okay, there's a lot of feedbacks coming for you about the information that you have given and the way you have presented about your clearing doubts and all that. Everybody are really happy and even about your presentation. And there's a lot of questions too coming up and we have a limited time too.
No problem, no problem. If you have little time, another 2 minutes is there. No problem. You can ask one or two questions.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, this is Prem Kumar.
Hello. Namaste. Please tell me.
Ma'am, in one slide, you have mentioned that if we are, doing a study, like a research among a set of people, like any set of population, then it is better to conduct a case study.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
So I have this doubt, like if we are going to conduct some research on tribes, like some remote tribes,
Yes.
and regarding some issue like dropping out. Ma'am, am I
Yes.
audible? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No
So,
problem. Meeting. I'm
so
listening.
which study would be good to conduct among them?
Yeah, so the thing is, if you are able to get the data honestly, frequently, without any difficulty, you can opt for other types of research. So if you have difficulty in getting the data, case study or observation method, these are all more applicable. For example, if you take tribes into consideration, case study method or survey method is better compared to experimental method and other methods.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Prem Kumar, and also thank you, ma'am. You're really good at clearing doubts of our participants, and it was a really good session. Our feedback session says that too. Thank you so much for coming with us. Then anybody else who wants to ask the question?
Okay, seems like we are coming to an end. So,
Okay.
as we're approaching to the end of this session, I would like to call upon Amrita Jacob, coordinator of this event, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our department, it's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this workshop. First of all, I would like to thank our resource person, Dr. Lalita K, for this wonderful session. It was very informative and interesting, which is quite evident from the feedback we got from the chat box. Next, I would like to thank our HOD, Mr. Judge George, for the formal welcome address. I also express my sincere gratitude to our director, Reverend Dr. Matthew George Warren, for the enlightening message. I also would like to extend my sincere gratitude for our management, Program Coordinator Mr. Sanath Thomas, and Assistant Program Coordinator Ms. Ashwati M. for making this event possible. Last but not the least, I thank every active participants for your participation and cooperation. Thank you all. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Amrita. So, as Amrita has said, thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful session and being with us here. With such a short period of time, you have given us a lot of information. And I also thank to the management of Yuvakshetra, faculties, coordinators, and our participants who were really cooperative and made this event happen. So, participants, before you leave the session, make sure you mark your attendance in the chat box. And also, before ending the session, there's a reminder for you. So, as scheduled, we will have the workshop on research problems, hypothesis testing, and review of literature by Dr. Rekha K.S. at 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow. So, till then, see you.
Participants, please wait. The attendance link will be shared shortly. So please stay back to get the attendance link. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have shared the attendance link. Participants can find it in the chat box. Thank you.